Jessie, you know, so far you've been left out of this. You're going to read to us?
Well, not now. Couldn't Susie sing a song instead?
Why, that would be wonderful. What are you going to sing, Susie?
Well, I'll sing a love song.
Well, what's it called?
It's called Black is the Color of My True Love's Hair. Black, black, black is the color of my true love. His lips are something wondrous fair, so pure as stars, and the bravest hand. I love the ground on where he stands. I love my love, and will he know? I love the ground on where he goes, and if my love no more I see, my life would quickly fade away. Black is the color of my true love.
Beautiful song, Susie. That was very moving.
Thank you.
Tell me, this quaint instrument you played it on, what is it?
But this quaint instrument is a zither.
What kind of a zither?
I guess an Austrian zither originally, but now fully Americanized.
Jessie, you're not going to get out of reading, you know.
No.
Why don't you read something with that little book I brought you?
All right.
Oh, good news, Jess.
What's the name of it, darling?
It's The Little Prince by Saint-Exupéry.
Saint-Exupéry. Missouri French. Can you do better, Claude?
Tom, it was wonderful.
Once when I was 6 years old, I saw a magnificent picture in a book called True Stories from Nature about the primeval forest. It was a picture of a boa constrictor in the act of swallowing an animal. Here's the copy of the drawing. I pondered deeply then over the adventures of the jungle, and after some work with a colored pencil, I succeeded in making my first drawing. My drawing number 1. It looked like this. I showed my masterpiece to the grown-ups and asked them whether the drawing frightened them. But they answered, frightened? Why should anyone be frightened by a hat? My drawing was not a picture of a hat. It was a picture of a boa constrictor digesting an elephant. But since the grown-ups were not able to understand it, I made another drawing. I drew the inside of the boa constrictor so that the grown-ups could see it clearly. They always need to have things explained. My drawing number 2 looked like this. The grown-ups' response this time was to advise me to lay aside my drawings of boa constrictors, whether from the inside or the outside, and devote myself instead to geography, history, arithmetic, and grammar. That is why, at the age of 6, I gave up what might have been a magnificent career as a painter. So then I chose another profession and learned to pilot airplanes. I have lived a great deal among grown-ups. I've seen them intimately close at hand, and that hasn't much improved my opinion of them. Whenever I met one of them who seemed to me at all clear-sighted, I tried the experiment of showing him my drawing number 1, which I have always kept. I would try to find out so if this person was of true understanding. But whoever it was, he or she would always say, that is a hat. Then I would never talk to that person about boa constrictors or primeval forest or stars. I would bring myself down to his level. I would talk to him about bridge and golf and politics and neckties.
Oh, really?
And the grown-up would be greatly pleased to have met such a sensible man.
Thank you, Jessie. Tom, did you encounter that kind of trouble when you started painting?
Well, there have been various kinds of interpretations in my painting, but I tell you, Claude, I never went in for drawing the insides of boa constrictors. However, I happen to think I taught for many years. I had many students. And if you go around the galleries and exhibition halls of the country today, I think you'll find that practically all those students have learned to paint the insides of boa constrictors or something similar.
You know, Tom, I was a teacher once.
Yes?
I taught dramatics at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London. At the moment, a couple of my students are doing quite nicely. Of course, I don't claim any responsibilities for them. Their names are Charles Lord and John Gielgud.
Wow.
I saw John in London last spring, and he told me that when I was particularly annoyed or aggravated by the students, I threw chairs at them. Well, I don't remember that at all. I only remember being very patient and very kind. I also remember an exercise I used to give them when they had trouble with their enunciation. It was a poem by Guy Wetmore Carroll.
Read it.
Very nice poem.
You're paying twice for your supper there.
Yeah, well, it's a tongue twister, Tom. It's called How the Helpmate of Bluebeard Made Free with the Door.
Fairy story.
No, just a tongue twister.
Oh.
A maiden from the Bosphorus, with eyes as bright as phosphorus, once wed the wealthy bailiff of the Caliph of Kilat. Though diligent and zealous, he became a slave to jealousy. Considering her beauty, 'twas his duty to do that. It may be mentioned casually that blue as lapis lazuli he dyed his hair, his lashes, his mustaches, and his beard. And just because he did it, he aroused his wife's timidity. Her presence she dissembled, but she trembled when he neared. When business did necessitate a journey, he would hesitate, but fearing to disgust her, he would trust her with his keys, remarking to her prayerfully, "I hope you'll use them carefully. Don't look what I deposit in that closet, if you please." This state, so insalubrious, soon made her most lugubrious, and bitterly she missed her elder sister, Mary Ann, and asked if she might write her to come down and spend a night or two. Her husband answered rightly and politely, "Sure you can." Bluebeard, the Monday following, his jealous feelings swallowing, packed all his things together in a leather-lined valise, and lying reprehensibly, he started off ostensibly by traveling to learn a bit of Smyrna and of Greece. His wife made but a cursory inspection of the nursery. The kitchen and the airy little dairy were a bore, likewise the large and scanty rooms, the billiard bath and ante-rooms, but not the interdicted and restricted little door. You know, I think I know this without my glasses. For all her curiosity, long prompted by the closet he so carefully had hidden and forbidden her to see, this damsel, disobedient, did something inexpedient. And in the keyhole tiny turned the shiny little key, then started back impulsively and cried aloud, convulsively. 10 heads of girls he'd wedded and beheaded met her eye. Then turning round most terrified, her darkest fears were verified. For Bluebeard stood behind her, come to find her on the sly. Then fearing she was fated to be soon decapitated too, she telegraphed her brothers and some others what she feared. And Sister Anne looked out for them, in readiness to shout for them whenever in the distance, with assistance, they appeared. But only from her battlement she saw some dust, which cattle meant. The ordinary story is not gory, but a jest. But here's the truth. Unqualified, her husband wasn't mollified. Her head is in his bloody little study with the rest. Fun.
This ever so nice.
Thanks. Go ahead.
Will you wear white, my dear, oh, will you wear white any day?
No, replace does it keep breaking the violin ring, for the ring,
afraid we have to leave the Bentons' party in Kansas City, Missouri, steal out quietly and get on with